What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is part 31 of my ranking and reviewing Frank Zappa's guitar solos within the context of an album. We're now on Zoot Allures. This is one of those interesting Frank albums that is like cobbled together from like different sources, and like, you know, we have like a live track, and then we have like some older tracks that are cobbled together from like a track that's cobbled together from different jam sessions. And then we have Frank playing almost all the instruments on other tracks. And it's a weird, eclectic kind of all over the map type release. And there's I'm counting 5 guitar solos, though there's pretty much only 4, but you'll see when I get to the one that I'll qualify that one. It's not really a guitar solo, but it's interesting. But yeah, there's 5 of them on here. So I'm just going to go through the 5 from 5 all the way to number 1, rank them, and then I'll show you where this album falls among the other 30 I've already done with regards to guitar solos only. So here we go. Number 5 might be slightly a bit of a shocker for those of you who know this album, but we're going to factor in the disappointment factor on this one, because it is a thing. It is a factor. That is Zoot Allures. Song is great. We get a good Zoot Allures. And then we have about just over a minute left when we enter the guitar solo phase of the song. And if you're not familiar with the song in a live context, it is a guitar solo vehicle. Like, you get the main body, the head, the theme, all that stuff. And then you get some really, really good guitar solos. Incredible ones in 75 and 76 would kind of disappear until the 80s. And then you got some pretty good exploratory kind of blank slate, almost very like his version of Estimated Profit for the Grateful Dead, just this sort of like wide open space to explore, not too aggressive, not a very rigid vamp, but it's a very exploratory guitar solo space. Some awesome Zoot Allure guitar solos throughout the year. And we got about a minute left in this, so you know we're not going to get a really long, meaty solo. And what we get is pretty good. Like, it starts off pretty good. Frank's kind of patient. He's playing with some ideas, but almost immediately, 25 seconds into the solo, you're thinking to yourself, wait, is it fading out already? And then you realize after 10 seconds later, when it's almost not even, you can't even hear it, and there's still like 26 seconds left in the song, yeah, it's fading out, and it fades out completely. And then we get a bunch of silence, and we go on to the next track. It is disappointing. It is heartbreaking. Like, come on, Frank, do something. Drop Miss Pinky and give us like a long 10-minute guitar solo on the side B of this album. The short little bit we get, the 25, 30 seconds that we get, is pretty tasty, but it just, knowing that the full thing is probably 3 or 4 minutes long and there's more to this, it just breaks my heart. And so I have to punish it for being such a heartbreaker, such a disappointing heartbreaker. But that's my number 5, Zoot Allures. Number 4 is Wonderful Wino, which doesn't really contain a guitar solo. I can't say you could really qualify this as a solo, but at the end of the song, after, you know, we get the vocals and the weird bridge thing in the middle, and we get more vocals, and we have about, I don't know, it's like well over half a minute, it might be close to like 45 seconds of like, I think it's several layers, I think there's more than one, of just kind of guitar noises and maybe some licks and just some really like saturating the air with just guitar kind of energy. It's not a prolonged solo. It's not like one idea, one theme that he's soloing on, but it's just a lot of different, it sounds like there's more than one. I mean, I listened to it a couple of times. I think there's a couple, like maybe it's a right channel, left channel thing. I didn't listen to this on headphones. Yeah, but there's just really nice guitar energy at the end of the song, and I really enjoyed it, and I thought it brought one of the more like spontaneous moments to what is a pretty kind of like rough, it's not rough, but it's not a very it's not full of like, it's not as energetic a performance as this song would usually get when Flo and Eddie were doing it. So it just feels a little bit like, a little kind of just, you know, I don't know the word I'm looking for. It's not flexible. It doesn't feel, just feels really rigid. And that ending guitar noise kind of just, I don't know, I like it. It gives a little more energy, a little more sort of, oh, this is neat. So I had to give it props. It's not a guitar solo proper, but I think the guitar since there's only 5 solos, 4 solos otherwise, I had to give this a shout out. I think that ending guitar energy adds something to the song that it desperately, desperately needs. I like the song, like the live versions of it. This one just doesn't really connect with me. But again, the ending is cool. Number 3, The Torture Never Stops. This is another one that live just became epic, epic, epic guitar solos. Some of my all-time favorite personal guitar solos are from the Winter 78 performances of Torture Never Stops. The Fall 80 Torture Never Stops are just literal monsters. I think both keyboardists solo. Vinny usually gets a solo. Frank might take 2 solos. 88 had some pretty nice solos, or they were that more like clear sound, but there were a couple good solos in there. So 81 had some good solos. So this Torture Never Stops usually provides a nice meaty little guitar solo in it. And what we get here is I think we get like 3 separate solos, if I'm not mistaken. I think you get like your normal like electric guitar. I think there might be a little fretless soloing going on, and then we return to the electric. But it feels like, I think it's the case because I think this is one of the songs on the album where Frank played almost all the instruments on it. It does really feel like there is this music, this rhythm track going on that is layered with all these like, these like noises, the recreational activity noises in the background, you know, the torture sounds. And the guitar solo just seems like dropped in it. It just seems like it's in no way actually responding to what the drums and the bass are doing in real time. It just very much, you know, I know that's not always, that's the case with a lot of albums that things are recorded separately, but it just really feels unconnected to the rest of the song. And it's just kind of there, you know, soloing amidst what else is going on. It's pretty interesting when it's happening. It's not bad. But it definitely, it's a nice break in the song because this is kind of a slow, really lazy kind of like dun dun dun, you know, very not. I don't think it's as chill as maybe those like Christmas 76 ones, which are really chill but pay off with better guitar solos. But it has a very slow kind of drawn out vibe, and I think the little break works, and the guitar solo with the screaming works. But the solo itself isn't one of Frank's best solos, and it just doesn't feel like it's an actual part of the song. It just feels like, oh, I'm just going to put a guitar solo here because this is where I'm going to play a guitar solo live. So yeah, it just, there's not much to it, but it's an interesting little diversion in the song. Number 3, Torture Never Stops. Number 2 is Friendly Little Finger, which is probably one of Frank's, I think, purest examples of xenochrony, which he takes, I think he takes a couple tracks from like a The Ocean is the Ultimate Solution jam, and he lays those down, and then he has a guitar solo which he performed in a dressing room at like a college show, and then he puts that on it, and I think there's maybe an extra bass part or something, but he has these 3 completely different tracks that have nothing to do with each other, were performed in entirely different situations, and he literally just lays them on top of them to see what is going to happen. And he said in an interview once that like that's literally what he did. He's like, I had this interesting guitar solo, I found this like extra part from a jam that we did, I put like a bass part on it, or I put some other part on it, I literally just synced them up, I laid them up, I sat back to see what would happen, didn't do any tinkering, didn't do any editing, I just laid them on. And they don't go together. They're in different rhythms. Everything's different, but somehow it works. And somehow it works. It's not the greatest guitar solo as far as what he's actually playing, but it's pretty aggressive. It's pretty nice. It might not even be the most interesting part of the song because what the rhythm section is doing at different times and the bass is doing and all this other part and the way they all kind of bouncing around and every once in a while they sync up. Really, really interesting track. He also added like an intro on the beginning of it. But it is xenochrony. The solo does not go with the rhythm parts. But it's a pretty interesting solo, and I think it's definitely one of the more interesting moments on this album. It's xenochrony that pays off big time. And the solo delivers. I can't say I would rank it as one of his best solos, but it's a pretty interesting little effort. And that leaves us to number 1, one of Frank's best solos he's ever released. A live Black Napkin solo from early 76, I think when he was playing in Japan. It's awesome. It's Black Napkins. The entire version is much longer. I think there's a Napoleon solo in there. His guitar solo is actually much longer. He has done an awesome job of editing it down to an absolutely, what is it, like 4 minutes and 13 seconds or something like that. I don't have my copy of Zoot Allures anywhere around here, but I think it's like just around 4 minutes. And it's one of his best editing jobs. It's one of his best like guitar solo vehicles. It's just like approximately 4 minutes of pure Frank Zappa guitar, instrumental, perfection, beauty, awesomeness. Every note is good. Bozio's drumming is amazing. Everything about this is absolutely amazing. It's live, so there's that live energy about it. It is just a beautiful, blistering, amazing guitar solo that is a must-hear thing that needs to rank up there, I think, in the top 10 of all of Frank Zappa's guitar solos. I mean, he has some that run, literally, he has guitar solos that go 8 minutes long. This one's like just over 2 minutes when I think you consider the main theme and the closing theme. But oh my gosh, is it effective? Oh my gosh, does it deliver? Oh my gosh, is there not a wasted note? Oh my gosh, is it just utter condensed? It's like Frank Zappa guitar playing in a bouillon cube. Like it's just all condensed in this tiny little like 4 minute matter, which seems like a long time for other artists. 4 minutes for Zappa goes by like that when the guitar solo is only like roughly 2. But oh my gosh, is it a perfect moment on this album. So yeah, that's what the solos look like in the order I would rank them from 5 to 1. Black Napkins, clearly, I think clearly the winner on this. I would be surprised if anybody had anything other than Black Napkins higher than that. And then because Black Napkins is really the only song on here that delivers, if I were to rank them according to the other 30, it goes all the way back there at number 26. You see it at 26, right below Broadway the Hard Way. Broadway the Hard Way also has a perfect guitar solo on it, in my estimation, but it also has a handful of other guitar solos which are pretty good, so it bumps up a little bit higher than that. Volume 6, I don't know how Volume 6 got that high, but I guess it did. That's interesting. But those are all pretty close, those three. The red ones are ones that were released while he was alive. The black ones are ones that were released after he passed away. So anyways, but yeah, interesting that like towards the bottom, we have a bunch of stuff that was released after he passed away that Frank didn't choose to release in his lifetime. But anyways, for those of you who want to, debate that topic, whether or not this stuff should be released. But anyways, that's all I got. I'm rambling. Let me know what your favorite guitar solo is. Let me know if you think this album deserves more praise guitar solo-wise than I give it. But anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, share, and go listen to music. Go listen to this Black Napkins guitar solo, people, if you haven't, because it is friggin' amazing. Peace. Talk to you later.